Welcome to the Pickleball Talks, a broadcast of the Interact Pickleball Network. Today, we welcome Michelle Verde.
Yes.
Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. So let's get right to it and tell me a little bit about your background. It's so diverse. I can't wait for the people to hear it.
I am going to give you the best Reader's Digest version of my background. Otherwise, we'll take the entire hour just getting through that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Born in New Jersey. Very, very, very into the arts from a very early age, from the time I was 3 years old. Classical ballet all the way up until I was the age of 12, was performing underneath the first prima ballerina to dance in the Royal Danish Ballet, was going to join her company in Princeton, New Jersey, and my family moved us from New Jersey to Lady Lake, Florida. Not exactly the cultural capital of the United States. If anybody doesn't know where Lady Lake, Florida is, it's where the Villages are, which is now known as the STD capital of the United States.
It certainly has a unique reputation, doesn't it?
Besides that.
But they play a lot of pickleball there too.
A ton of pickleball there. So proceeded when we moved to the big city of Ocala, pursued ballet there. My ballet instructor was like, hey, there's nothing more we can do here. She has to go to New York. Different time. My mom was like, yeah, I'm not sending my 16-year-old to New York. And besides, that's a hobby and not a profession. Go to school. Fast forward, I went to University of Florida, finished at USF, and then ended up down in Miami because I pursued a social work degree. I wanted to do psychology. When I went to speak to my psychology mentor, he said, tell me why you want to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a school psychologist. He said, you don't want to be the psychologist. You want to be the social worker. So that led me to a very long pursuit of the highest education because I wanted to be an expert in my field. I focused mostly on the area of juvenile justice. So I was the very first social worker at the very first alternative school in Pasco County, Florida. It was one of the most tremendous, amazing, and painful experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Once I had children, I couldn't do it anymore because I could not separate my kids from the stuff that I had seen. But it's always been a passion for me, young people. So fast forward, my son ends up in a gifted and exceptional classroom, whatever, in this public Montessori school. And so they thought, well, we have a space issue. Let's put all 48 of these middle schoolers who are gifted and exceptional, quote unquote, in the same room. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so you've got all these kids that are popping off like little, like popcorn all the time because they all have their own individual needs. There were 2 teachers in the classroom. And my child, I know, was one of the ones who was roaming around the room, causing all kinds of chaos and constantly talking to the teacher. And I finally said, listen, would you mind if I came into the classroom and maybe taught a couple like reset and calming techniques just to, get the classroom reset and get you guys ready for, working, what have you? He said, oh my God, yes, please. Can you come in after lunch? Absolutely. Perfect time. Transition time. I have the hardest time getting them to do that. So sure enough, I'm there one day on a Tuesday for 20 minutes, turns into every week, twice a week, other classrooms, other representatives coming in, other moms coming in and helping and assisting. And at the end of that school year, Wise Mind Project was born because
And how many years ago was that? What year did that start?
Okay, so this is so unfortunate because that was 2019. Okay. So we spent the summer putting together this amazing, wonderful program, which the core component of was mindfulness in minutes, right? We were going into schools. Teachers don't need anything else added to their plate. Nothing. Okay. And so what we're trying to let them see is you can't afford not to use this. And the time that it's going to get you back, and it takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes and you get everybody on the same page and prepared to learn. Because what we're going to talk about is how our neurology, how our nervous system actually works in a way that it's been working since the beginning of time, but we haven't learned how to utilize it to our benefit in the world that we live in today. So we will get to that. We will get to that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I've been over 30 years. I studied NLP, neuro-linguistic program, and we discussed that earlier. And we'll circle around, in the future to that. But yeah, it's a lot of people don't know the tools that we've been given that we haven't accessed. Correct?
And we all have them. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter who you are, what your education is, where you've been born, what the color of your skin is. Every single one of us has this same neurology. Okay. It's the same thing that sets us off, is the same exact thing we have access to pull us back.
The only limitations we have are the ones that we set
on ourselves.
That's
exactly.
It,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
That's it. That's exactly it. Right?
Yep. So anyway, we just real quick. So we put the program together over the summer. We started presenting it to a middle school in Fort Lauderdale that we used as our little incubator. By the time we came around to March, we had the superintendent of schools, which is like, you might as well get the Pope. Okay. Like it's easier to get an audience with the Pope than it is to get the superintendent of Broward County Schools, the 6th largest school district in the country, to come and observe your program. Okay. Along with other members of the city and things like that, the school board. Love. We were actually having real impact in this school. Kids, less referrals, behavior was amazing. All of these wonderful things. And then COVID. And that was it. And
I understand.
Yep.
And that's part of how this podcast came to be, is that I talk about the reset. You just spoke of it, right?
Yes.
And that's what's happening. And that's an amazing thing, an amazing time in our society. We had these poor kids for a couple of years. They had those masks, right? They couldn't speak. They couldn't really say what they wanted to say. And it was a very confusing time. So as we came out of COVID and we saw pickleball take off, right?
Yes. So social. This is the social connection and the community we knew that we needed and that we were missing through COVID. It was great that we have this technology, that we were Zooming, and we're resilient. Human beings are resilient. We're always going to find a way, right? And so we're doing Zooms and we're doing this and we're doing that and we're putting the kids on cameras. What COVID taught us, there is no substitute for us being human with each other. None.
I couldn't agree more.
None.
And that's part of why I started a company called Interact, where it gets kids off of social media, and we give them 36 questions to be able to drop their guard, open up their heart, and we're making vulnerability cool. COVID was an opportunity when we came out for people to get back to that community, get back to that family, right?
Yes.
The only opportunity where you had put your paddle down and the next 4 up, where you had an opportunity to make a friend and to cure loneliness, because we were lonely during COVID, right?
Lonely. We can't talk about the pickleball group that I was shunned from. I'm still recovering from that. But anyway.
That's part of the reason why I started this podcast, right? And that's a whole different discussion, right? But that's what it is, right?
But we knew that we needed this. We knew that we needed community. And that's really what it was all about. And when we understand, once again, how our neurology works, when we're set off, when we're, what do my kids call it? Oh my gosh, they call it something. Anyway, when I'm popping off, or whatever it is, when they get me going, when you learn what you're going through in that moment, you have automatic empathy when you see it in somebody else. Right? When you understand it for yourself, now you can see it in somebody else. Imagine you don't have to get sucked in by somebody being in that red light zone, in there crashing out. That's what my kids call it, crashing out. You're crashing out, Mom. Well, guess what? We're human beings. This is not about not feeling your emotions, or not ever getting angry, or not ever getting sad. It's understanding that these emotions are not something to be afraid of. They're something that teach us.
I agree. But once again, it's how you represent yourself. And that's another reason why I started it, is that I saw the behaviors that were happening in the court. So people are all coming out of COVID, right? They want community, but it's the way that they're representing themselves, how they stood to the line of the service line, right? Why was a sport starting 002? Why is a kitchen 7 feet, right? These are all things that are part of the sport, that are the great question of okay, now what are we doing in order for this reset to happen? That's the commonality, right? That brings us together, right? You have to know your origins. And that's what it is. It's to be able to open up your heart, get to know that person to the right of you or to the left of you or across the net. That's the real win. And that's what we talk about. And when I bring people on, such as yourself, and we choose from the spinning spice rack of life's ingredients, right?
I love it.
We're teaching the awareness, right? The Mindful Awareness Project. We're teaching about breathing and exercise. That's the commonality here. And as you said, the most important thing is the 5.5 inches.
Yes. All sports are played on a 5.5-inch field. In this instance, a court. Everything, every single sport starts with the space between your ears. And there is example after example after example of this that you could watch play out in real time. Winter Olympics. Did you watch the Winter Olympics at all?
Of course.
Okay.
I've watched
So
summer, winter, anything.
We all watch the ice skating, right? And
of
none
course.
of it's, okay, so you had the quad god, Ileana or whatever, right? So I'm sitting here, every time I watch these athletes, what I watch is their faces because I watch what's going on in their eyes and I can kind of look and see, okay, what's going on in their head, where they're at. When he came in, he was full of air. He just knew he had it. He was the quad god. He was walking in there just feeling himself. And I'm like, this ain't good. I was watching it. This ain't good. Sure enough, he fell and failed and all these things like that. And when he comes off the ice, I said, that's the best thing that could have ever happened to that kid. What shocked me, Mark, what blew me away is at this highest level, this boy had no mental training. Zero. I'm like, how is that possible? Richard Bannister, the man who ran the first 4-minute mile, was the guy who taught us this back in the 1940s. It starts here. He visualized and visualized and visualized and did something that people told him, not only will you never be able to do it, humans will never be able to do it, it will probably kill you if you do. What happened after Richard Bannister ran that 4-minute mile the first time?
Well, once it broke the ceiling, right?
2 more within 6 weeks.
That's it.
In 6 weeks. Why? What was the difference?
The limitations that were set, right? That we talk about.
Now people know that it can be done. You know it can be done. So understanding this, visualizing this, seeing the win first, seeing that dink first, seeing whatever it is first is the key to it all. And we all have it available to us at any moment.
We had the Industrial Revolution, right? We had the tech revolution.
Yes.
Now we have the spiritual revolution that's happening right now, right?
Amen.
And it's the collective consciousness of sharing that with people. And that's what we're doing here.
Yes.
It's giving them the tools and the technology and saying, hey, you don't have to be fearful. You don't have to be full of anxiety. Guess what? We all have our stuff. Let's talk.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
The Mindful Awareness Project, right?
Wise Mind Project.
Wise Mind, excuse me.
Mind.
Yes,
Wise Mind. Wise
Okay.
Mind Project.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's the overall, vibe and scope of what you're trying to do.
So the understanding is, what kind of world, what would our world look like if I knew that I wasn't my thoughts and nobody else's either, and you don't have to act on them? What would our world look like if we didn't have to act on all this? And it's as simple as sending oxygen to your brain. That's it. We all get triggered. And the thing is, with that little thing in the middle of our head, so if you hold your hand in a fist, okay, you hold your fist, and out here in front, I know your people can't see it on the radio, but if you could hear me, make a fist and tuck your thumb in under your fingers. Your fingers are your frontal lobe, and what's right in the middle, right where your thumbnail is, basically, is your amygdala. And it's a little almond-sized little thing that controls you like nobody's business. And it gives you one of 3 options when it's activated: fight, flight, or freeze. The thing is with that, it's spectacular. Listen, if you're stepping off a curb and a car is coming at you, okay, it would be wonderful to say, oh, I love the color of that car. Isn't that beautiful? I think I'd like to have one of those one of these days. No, you have to get out of there, right? Okay, this thing works wonderfully. The thing with the amygdala is it can't tell the difference if you are about to give a speech, if you're about to take a test, or if there is a bus that's about to hit you as you step off the curb. It cannot tell the difference. So we are triggered. Imagine that. Imagine how many times you're triggered throughout the day doing something. You feel it. For me, and it's everybody. Everybody feels it different. And I always tell people, think about something that's not a horrible, you missed your alarm in the morning, and where do you feel that? For me, it's in my stomach and in my gut. Oh, I feel it. Oh, in a tight chest. Everybody feels it different.
And you talk about that tight chest, right? But before you talked about breath, right?
Yes.
Breath work is one of the most singular things that changed my life. We come into this world, we take our first breath, right? We rise and our shine. And then we set the tone of our day. It's also, unfortunately, the last thing we do on this planet too, right?
Yes.
But it affects alpha, theta, beta, right? It affects everything, the whole circuitry, whether it be our neurological system, our lymphatic system, everything that keeps us rolling and moving, right? It's so important.
And imagine it's being popped off all day long without you even thinking about it. I use that example all the time. I'm like, look at a baby sleeping in a crib. What moves on a baby when they sleep? Their belly, up, down, up, down. All their needs are being met. Everything is perfect. Where do we breathe? Right up here in our chests. Right. We're starving our brains all day long. We're starving what we need all day long, because once that amygdala is activated, the one thing, you said it, the one thing that sets your parasympathetic nervous system to come in and say, thank you for sharing, amygdala, I got this, is breathing.
That's right.
That's it. It. Oxygen to your brain. That's it.
We got to take that elephant off of our chest, right? I see, and we're going to jump into this, and we see these young kids, especially, so we said out of COVID, and even before COVID, right? Because of the internet, because of the phone, they were fearful. You can see tight-chestedness in all of them. They're so anxiety-ridden. They don't know how to communicate with each other. It's that fearfulness, right? That's what we're talking about here. And that's when you can help them with all the different tools that we were talking about in the show, and to help people get a better quality of life. And what we were talking about, you and I on the phone when we were prepping for this, we're talking about the educational system, right? What we can do to help these kids when they're getting out of school, to teach them these tools. But the tools that set the benchmark comes from the centeredness. The common denominator can be pickleball, because of those life rules that I was talking about, 002, the kitchen, about fairness, about sportsmanship, but how you go about doing it, right? That's part of the reset.
Well, and exactly, you're 1,000% right. And this reminds me, we had a wonderful opportunity to go take one of our school groups to see Pharrell Williams. They did they had a happy exhibit down at the art museum down in Fort Lauderdale, and he came to speak. And one of the things he said to the kids, he said, do you think because I wrote the song Happy, I'm happy all the time? He said, no. He said, being happy is a sport and a skill set. A sport and a skill set. Life is a sport and a skill set. Life is played on the 5.5-inch field between our ears for all of us, no matter what. And so you learn the tools, and then what do? You practice. And it just becomes easier. And that's what we were doing in the schools. It was a common nomenclature. It was a common language. Everybody knew, hey, I'm on the red right now. I need a minute. Everybody could talk that language, and you understood what that meant. And you didn't sit here and try to push the kid. Oh, well, tell me what happened. And we're going to fix this, and go sit down. No. Oh, you could articulate. You may not be able to explain to me what's going on, but Miss Verde, I am in the red and I need a second. Go ahead, take your second. Because what happens when that amygdala is activated, and this is so significant in what we tried to get teachers to understand in the classroom, is that if something is going on, and listen, we're in public schools and a lot of Title I schools. So these kids are coming in with all sorts of other issues besides just being taught, reading, write, and arithmetic, okay? So when a child is coming in being food insecure, clothing insecure, whatever it is, are you going to sit there and now try to attempt to tell that child, well, sit down because you have to learn what 2 times 2 is at this minute? No. No amount of drilling, no amount of punishment, no amount of homework, no amount of anything is going to get that child out of the space that they're in. But you can by understanding that all they need, you want to take a breath? Let's take a few breaths, because all you're doing now is interrupting that circuit. What we call it is like the train leaving the station. Okay. That amygdala gets activated. The train starts to leave the station. You start to feel that anxiety. And that's why it's important for all of us to understand where we feel it in our body, because you are the only one who can recognize it. So you are the only one who can interrupt it. Okay. Once you let that train leave the station, it's going to take a little while. And sometimes we want to let it get off at Crazy Town. Okay. The whole idea is, if you let the train leave the station, it doesn't have to get off at Crazy Town. Okay. It can take a ride all the way back to the station, and you can keep it to yourself.
So how can we help our pickleball community, right? And we see that on the court. You see it on the court. You're around pickleball all the time, right? So you're part of a pickleball community.
I am part of a pickleball community.
A big one.
A very, very big one. Via my husband, I do have to admit.
Yes.
I do have to
very
say,
much so.
God bless him. But I love it. And I love it for my kids. And my younger son now, that's his track. He wants to be a professional pickleball player. Thank you, Anna Lee Waters, for paving the way.
And there's an even younger one now who I met, last week in Orlando. She's 13 years old.
Dude, I love it.
It's unreal. And there's a 15-year-old boy. And I mean, these kids are just doing amazing things at this age, right? But that's part of what you're talking about. It's about the it's part of the training. It's the centeredness. I watched it.
Yes.
I think it's a different level than child athletes or child actors we've seen in the past.
Yes.
And it's the centeredness, and you can see the maturity in them.
Because we're having these conversations, Mark, because these conversations that you and I having right now are not these frou-frou, religious, this and that, blah, 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 blah. It's not hippy-dippy stuff. It's science. It's our neurology. This is how it works. But it was all in like the closet before. We didn't talk about it. Now we're talking about it. And these kids are taking care of themselves, and they're understanding the need for balance. That yes, I'm going to be a professional athlete, but you know what? When I know I need a minute, I'm going to take it.
One thing that I've noticed since I was very competitive in sports is that, learning always to be in the generation I grew up with, that you had to win it at all costs, right? The energy was there. Tennis was, was a little bit of a different competitiveness. Soccer with the parents arguing in the stands or wherever it might be. But, what I witnessed, and I'm more along the lines of community pickleball, the non-competitiveness. But I went to see it, and I was in the center of the most competitive pickleball, and they're all going at it. But you know what I saw? Other teams, even if one person got hit in the chest, they go over and they apologize. They come off the court, and their opposing team members, they give each other high fives, and they're all part of the community. And you see the energy, even that they're going at it and they're just rallying and hitting the heck out of the ball, right? And that one loses, they come over and they have a laugh. You never saw that before.
Because we understand we're all in this together. We're all in the same human soup right here.
That's true, but there's other arenas that don't allow for that. It goes back to the next four paddles up, the community, the spirit of 1965, right? But even though the game got sportified, right? But you see that. And you don't see it in other sports. You don't see soccer teams. So you saw what happened at the end of the World Cup, right? Which was horrible.
It was.
And there's some other examples we could get into, but we don't go into that energy. What I want to do is get into the energy of what I saw the other day. And that was the first time that I've been to smaller tournaments but that was really it. That's where there's the top of the top there. Ben Johns is there, and Anna Lee, and some of these amazing kids that are coming up. I don't know their names, but they're amazing. Their eye-hand coordination and what they're doing is spectacular. It's incredible, right?
It really, really is. And I absolutely love, and to your point about the whole community, I have young kids who started with the whole pickleball. When they go to some of the parks and they are treated in the way that they're treated by these adults, they're horrified. They're horrified at the behavior of these adults. And they understand that, this is what this is about. It doesn't work. We're all in this together. Let's just have a good time. For goodness sake, let's take a few breaths and play some pickleball.
Once again, that's what Gene DeVito, who came on here for Diadem, it was that fact that we saw, all these behaviors. That's why I wrote what they call the reset, right? And it was just about the point is never more important than the person. And we see some of these people who are, 5.0s. And I say, hey, 5.0, give people a high five. No one really cares that you won 11 matches in a row, right? Win 10. Yes. And with that extra 20 minutes, teach somebody how to hold the paddle. Teach them the rules, right? And I have lots of friends who come up to me even before I did this podcast, but even more so now, they go, I was so intimidated. I went to this court and people wouldn't play with me. I went to that court and I was treated this way, right? We have to change the culture.
Yes. Breath. Air. Oxygen.
But we have to set the oxygen. But we have to set the expectation from the sportification back to the culture to get people to understand when you're showing up to those courts, there's a reason why those courts exist. They existed because
of the community.
Correct. Yes. Father comes home, goes to his buddy's house and go, hey, the kids are bored. They're home from school. It's a break. What can we do? Right.
And all of you can play pickleball together.
Honestly.
It's amazing.
It's okay to be competitive. It's just the way you go about doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Tell me more about the future and what your awareness program is looking to do and yourself, and what do you see the vision?
So the vision is, once again, imagine a world where we didn't all have to believe that we're our thoughts, and we understood that everybody else didn't either. And it has an automatic, as I said, empathy component to it. If you understand that when you are stressed, when your stress is activated, the way that you come across, the way you'll be snappier at your kids, you'll be angrier at everything. When you start to understand what's going on, that all it is this little amygdala thing in your brain has been activated, and it's only giving you 3 choices: fight, flight, or freeze, none of which probably will really serve you in that moment. So you have a choice. Once again, here's your skill set. Recognize where it is in your body, and it happens immediately and imperceptibly without our intervention, okay? Where your intervention has to come in, and this takes the skill and it takes the practice, and this is the sport of mindfulness, is to go, oop, I feel it. What do? Let it go. We teach the kids some other things, some other techniques. A lot of times you're too agitated. It's not a matter of you needing to stop, close your eyes, meditate, all this stuff. No, these are quick little things that all you're trying to do is interrupt that circuit. Stop that train from leaving the station.
So in NLP, we call that a pattern interrupt.
There you go.
So you want a pattern interrupt.
You just
quick
want
pattern interrupt and a quick reset.
Yes, exactly. So you interrupt,
reset.
Interrupt. And how do you, so you interrupt. One of the really easy ones is for everybody to do is the 5 senses check-in. So you say to yourself, what do I feel? What do I see? What do I hear? What taste is in my mouth? What do I smell? And now you're thinking about that, and you're not thinking about the thing that started to have you activated. So that's it. It's a circuit interrupter. You interrupt that circuit, okay? Interrupt the pattern. We also do, we call it tapping a positive beat to words. So what we do in some practices, it's called a mudra mantra, but we can't say that in schools. We can't say that in public schools. So we call it tapping a beat to positive words. It's the same thing. Right. And by the way, you don't have to believe the words as you're saying them, okay? If you're sitting down for a test, or if you're sitting down before you do a speaking engagement or anything, and you feel that anxiety come up, a lot of it is good. You need some of it, right, to get you to perform well, but you can't have it overtake you. Okay, so I like to start with my thumb and forefinger tapping, and then proceed back to the fingers back and forth. And it's, I am calm now. I am calm now. I don't have to believe that while I'm saying it, but guess what? I start telling myself, that's what it is. My body just automatically responds to those words.
Don't you love that subconscious mind? It's just sinking right into that subconscious mind, and it's going to come back when you need it.
Bang, 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 boom, 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 boom. It's amazing, right?
It really is, yes.
That's it. And then if you do have the time, then once you get to that place and you really want to get yourself set, then do your box breath. Just do, it's so easy. Counts of 4. 4, inhale, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And make sure you get down into that belly button, because the way we're trained is to stop at our chest. Feel that, like the balloon. Just feel that balloon fill up underneath your belly button. Feel it, hold it, and then make that belly button touch your spinal cord when you exhale. The exhale is just as important, if not more so, than the inhale. So try to make your exhale really deep. When you have an extra 5 seconds, I do it in the grocery store. I do it in traffic. We live in South Florida. You know how many times I am resetting in my car? Okay.
I lived in LA for 23 years. I had a lot of time to reset. I understand. So yeah, no, I mean, it's the carbon dioxide is where the magic happens, right?
Exactly.
And you have more breath than you think. And that's part of it, right?
Yes.
You have more breath than you think.
Much
Just
more.
when you think that you've hit your bottom, guess what?
Yes.
Exhale more.
And your brain.
That's when it's going to really start to trigger everything right there, right?
Your brain thanks you so much. The little pliable, nice, squishy brain is so appreciative of all that oxygen you send up there.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
So where can we look for you? Do you have any podcasts? Do you have any videos that our folks can look for?
So you can check us out online at wisemindproject.org. We're always in schools. We're always doing, and we're available to come in and speak to you as a group at your organization, at your place of work, at your team. We'd love to come in and do the mindfulness in minutes with your team. All we need is 30 minutes. 30 minutes is all we need. 1 hour is beautiful where you can get into all the little bit of the nitty gritty and the science behind it, but really 30 minutes. And let me tell you, the productivity will change. The atmosphere will change. The vibe changes. Everything changes because once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. Once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. You can't unsee it. It's there forever. It's just a matter of you now practicing it. That's all it is. So we are totally available to come in person and speak to you. We can do Zoom presentations. I've spoken to tennis groups, to tennis clubs, all kinds of different ones. So would love to come and talk to your pickleball team, your soccer team, your individual student, your individual athlete, your place of business. Because once this is done, you will see, because once that amygdala is activated, what people don't understand is the actual access to the frontal lobe, we call our executive functioning, is cut off. You don't have availability. You don't have access to it in that moment. So basically what you're trying to do is swipe out the stress and let the peace come in.
You're involved in so many things. And talking to you, I'm so impressed. You're one of the most diverse people I've met in a long time. Are there any other projects out there that you might want to share and mention?
I'm going to do one shameless plug. I did get asked to step into a production because I am an actor. So at the Empire Stage, we are opening on August 14th in Fort Lauderdale. Other Desert People. I will be playing the role of Polly, who was started by Stockard Channing and will be in the revival played by Juliette Lewis. So I am very proud, but I only have 2 weeks to learn it because I had to step in for someone who was unable to complete the production. So that is my shameless plug. It's the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm going home to study my lines.
I'm sure you're going to do amazing. And everybody go if you're in the Fort Lauderdale area, or if you're not, go check it out.
Thank you so much, Mark.
So I want to thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Pickleball Talks. Check us out on all major broadcast networks. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on all the other things. And here's some great news. In about a month and a half, I have the Pickleball Talks is going to become a TV show on Apple and Roku. So check us out. Have an amazing day.